This is Deanna, and I am the Cosmic Engineer. I'm starting out a series. I did a video just before this one, so if you need to check it out, it's just prefacing the whole setup of a server implementation to get started on WordPress. Now, I'll just also say that you could choose to go to WordPress, I think it's wordpress.com, and they allow hosting there, which once you're inside, it's going to look similar to what I'm doing here. So, but I didn't spotlight that in the video I did prior. So you have your site set up with the domain and you've had WordPress installed. And most of the places, if you're getting a hosting package with these server companies, then you'll have that set up for you already. And then you would sign in to, this is the URL. So this is your domain up here in the top left corner, you'll see. This would be your domain. And so if it's like, mywebsite.com, and then to log in to the back end, you would go to this point right here. So actually, no, it's WP admin. Let me just type that in so you can see. There. So you see this right here. This is it. And then you could click on that, and here's what you get here. So your password, and then you would log in. Oh, good. That's not my user name. Okay. Here is the back end, so to speak. It's your dashboard. It's where you will interact with the different options available to you, and many of the plugins that you will add will also show up on this dashboard site for you to do any adjustments in. So let me just kind of quickly go through some of the stuff that's just something I do when I do a new site to start. In settings, I like to go in here and make some adjustments to just a few different things. I mean, you can do what you want. I tend to not get too worried about much of it, but here's where you could change. So I'm just going to say, and tagline, and I'm just going to do, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but this will do it for now. All righty. And when you first have the site, the WordPress site created, whether you've done it on your own or whether you've the hosting company has done it for you, they will, if it's a hosting company, they're going to use your email address that you use to sign up to the hosting company. So this is the one that I used. And if you need to change that, you make sure you have access, obviously, to this email. And then you can change that, and it's not going to allow the change until you give the verification to this, the older email. I would leave this alone. That seems to be the safest one. You can always change it and I'll go to the users here in a bit. And then time zone. Sometimes it doesn't matter at all, but it can, especially if you're doing, if you do have a site that's going to issue, like if you have products, then you might want to have exactly the server time, just because it'll timestamp every order. And it could be confusing if it stays here at universal time. And there's other things like when you're doing blog posts, that stuff like that, timing is going to come through via this. So I am Pacific. So it's funny how it gives certain things at the bottom, and now we just have to kind of go through here. Here we go. So I'm just going to pick this. There's some cities, and then there's just some time zone, like UTC plus whatever. So it's kind of bizarre. This is how you would set the date format. So this is personal to you, really, however you want it. I'm just going to leave this alone, and I'm going to save the changes. In the writing section, I don't generally touch anything here, because once you're doing the work in, so a blog post is, the posts, you can set them to have a default category at that point. So you don't necessarily have to do this. And I wouldn't worry about this at all. There's other ways to work on mail server stuff. If you choose to have, a form or something like that's generally the key thing. Let's see. So reading. Again, this can be set, and this is where I will usually do the setting of this, will be in the customization section. So I do not touch this. I don't think I've ever touched this, but it's not that you can't. And this here, I also tend not to touch at all. So you can set this as a gravatar logo. And if anybody has signed in and to any of these things, right, then if you have one of those set up, then it will work out. Or you could just set it as blank. Media, I don't touch any of these either. This Permalinks is the one that I always change. So what it does here is it gives you options on how your links will look. And I don't think I've ever not used this post name. And I guess leaving it here as custom looks like they've done the same thing, post name. So yep. Okay. And I don't know that I've ever, so this is new within the last couple of years, I think. So they're wanting a privacy policy page. They create now these two pages as drafts when you first, and start a new website with like a new instance of WordPress. How about that? That sounds better. And then you can assign it. So if you didn't want to use what they had, you could create your own. Okay, so let's go to users. And this is me. This is the one that got created when I initiated this particular instance of WordPress. So here's what you do. And this is something that you can do for admins. And I always have this thing whenever I work with clients, for example, I always make sure that I have my own ID. So if they're understanding how to do it, I ask them to go create me an admin ID with my information so that I'm not getting access to theirs. But if they give me their password and I go in and set up my own account, I always ask them to, change that password back so that I don't have it, because I don't need it. And it's better that way. If anything ever happened, that, you were working something, because I've definitely worked with clients who did not have a good experience with the person that was helping them on their site, and having them have a separate ID. Sorry, I'm trying to think. It helps a lot because you can just go in and delete it. So you would just go through here and give a username and an email, and then you can either just put in a password for them. But when it's for someone else, I just go ahead and leave this as is, because what will happen with this box checked is it will send them something that they can then, click sign in and then adjust the password to whatever they want. And if you're, depending on what you're doing with the person, so you can just have them be any of these people. I mean, for an admin, you're obviously going to click here. If you were to use a program called WooCommerce to do a shop, there will be some additional roles here, and there may be other plugins that will have additional roles here after you've activated those. So this is all you do. You click in the information, add a user, and then an email is going to go to the user's email address that you use to have them verify everything. And so that way you can see them, they could see you. The only downside, I guess, is that they could go in and delete your account, but you could also set another account. And you always, by using a hosting company, you can go in and tell them that something, has happened and could they please reset everything for you for your ID. So I think that it's totally fine. I mean, there's always you never say never, right? But this is the way I like to just protect as much as possible. So let's see what's the best. Here, if you go here to pages, you'll see this is what they've already done as, oh, they didn't make that draft, but that doesn't matter. I think when they're creating, they just like to put a little bit of a skeleton maybe in that so that you have sort of places to go to. And posts, I think they tend to create a post just to show you. Because if you are here at the top here where it says like the name of your blog or your website, you can either right click on this and open a new tab just to get an idea of what your site now looks like. And you can do this as you're going through it, the whole process of building it. You can do this to just take a sneak peek and see what it's looking like to like the front to the people in the internet world. So you right click and open in a new tab if you're on Windows, and you hit the I can't remember. It's not the command one, it's the options or something that you click that, and then so you hold that one down. It's the one that's to the left of the board, not the one right beside the. I'm fairly new to Mac, so please accept my apology on the terminology there. Anyway, that would be how you would do this, bring this option up to open in a new tab. And this is basically showing you, this is what it looks like right now, which is not really very nice. So we're going to sort that out. Okay, so once we get into some of the other things, we will be going into this window. So what I like to do is use, in the last probably year, I have found sort of I guess it's the best recipe for building a website. And there's like, with WordPress, there's probably millions of ways to do things, millions of combinations. But my goal with these video tutorials is to work with people who are very new and just want something that looks nice, that's up and running for people. And I'm not going to get into all the different, I mean, there's so many out there. But basically with WordPress, you're it's like a skin, maybe like an overlay of the customizations with colors and the blocking, how it blocks out, whether it's, a sort of a skinnier type of site that has space on either side or full width. What kind of, how does the home page look with like lots of pictures and very little words, etc. This is done in general, it's done by a theme. And my very, very favorite theme that I found, that it's a free theme, but it also has a paid version. But the free theme has absolutely tons of options. The amount of customization you can do using that is absolutely amazing. This company, fabulous for what they've done. So you have to go and get it. I've already got it, but I'm just going to show you the site. So this is the company. And to download it, you click here and you give them your email address. So you do give them their email address, but that's it. And then they send you the link in the email address and you download the file. but I have used both. So I've used the free like a lot, and there's been a couple of clients where I've done the paid version, and it's unbelievable how many more options that they offer. They've done a really good job. That's my opinion. Anyway, so that's the one we're going to use, and I already have it. Ocean, and I'll tell you right now that one of the things that I'm always wanting to do, and so I therefore always do. Oh, see, here we go. This is an option of where we're going to want to make sure that the rate, this is very dependent on the hosting provider. They set restrictions to the amount, the size of things you can upload, but you can have those changed. So if you're on a hosting company, it's easy to just send them an email or a chat or something in their help box and say, listen, I need this to be increased so that I can upload my theme. This is the process of uploading the theme. And it's my practice to have a child theme running. So I will upload the child theme, and that will be our active theme. Okay, and here they're already saying update. The reason to use a child theme is that all the customizations that you do can stay in the child theme and not be affected by any updates to the main theme. It's really frustrating when you go through this whole process and do everything in the main theme, and then they go and update a major update, for example, and then they've wiped out your styles, and then you have to you cry for a little bit and have to start over, making it look the same as it used to, or using a backup to pull it back up. But the problem is if you do use a backup, you're going to go and trigger another update, because it'll go back to the old version, and then all of a sudden it'll say, hey, we need to update. So this is what we do for that. That's how I do it. So you can get the child theme from the site once you've gotten the email with the link for the main Ocean WP. Then you can go into the help section of the Ocean WP website, and you can search in child theme and download that, and then make that your active theme. And it will just make your life much better. So they've recommended to install this plugin, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the plugin section and give a little bit of a, we're not going to do this is a paid version, so we won't be doing that. And I'm not going to do the setup because I don't think it's necessary. Okay. So let's do plugins. Neither one of these we're going to keep. Yep. My spam thing or malware thing is not happy with my website. Okay. So plugins are, trying to think of a good, they're just extra tools that you add in. So the first one that I use is one called Elementor, and it is a page builder. website builder, page builder. And when you find one that you want, you just then install and then you have to activate. And there's a lot of website builders out there, so you definitely don't need to use Elementor. It's really what you're comfortable with. I've used a couple of different ones. WP Bakery is another one that I've used. But I just find for me that the Elementor one seems to be really intuitive for me. That just happens to be the case. And it's certainly going to be different for other people, right? We don't all connect to the same thing. So, but at least by going through this and sharing with you how I do things, it will give you an idea, and you're welcome obviously to play around with all the different things that are out there. But I think that this gives you a good basic starting point to put something together. And Elementor is another one that I've come across over the last probably a couple of years now. And they have a really good free version, and their pro version is awesome. So it really depends on what you want to do. The pro version comes in really, really handily when you need to do a shop and you have, say, WooCommerce. It really gives you a lot of extra tools to make your shop look really awesome, instead of just sort of the basic stuff that you get with the WordPress or with the WooCommerce plugin. So with Elementor, they are giving you template options too, which is really great because you can design something as sort of a template for what your pages look like and then just save it. And then whenever you go in to do a change or make a new page, you can just use that. So you don't have to recreate the wheel all the time, which I think is really great. Before they started getting into all of these page builder, drag and drop type things, it was definitely a lot different to work with WordPress. And I think the biggest thing that I hear from people when they get frustrated with WordPress, it's so hard. It's just because there are so many options, and if you don't grab the right things that really connect easily with you, then it is frustrating. I mean, I've been there and I've had a lot of experience with this type of world, like IT type of stuff. So it can be so frustrating. So I'm hoping that this really does help people, and it seems doable for people to get their website up and running by the videos that I'm doing. Okay, I think that's like a start. There'll be other things that we're going to add in, plugins and stuff like that. But I want to go right now to the customize. Let's just go in here and I'll show you what is here. So this is the Ocean WP, and they're just showing you sort of what we have, how they're displaying what we have here available to us. And we're going to change this. So here is where, if you remember a bit earlier, I wrote this in. So here is an easy place to change anytime. Okay, a site icon is, as they say, it's the little image or whatever that's in the tab. So if you see this, there's this little, looks almost like a world or a globe thing. When you put in a site icon, then it becomes that picture. So it's really tiny, but you'll see it, and it just gives you another place to change sort of what it looks like to other people, so that your branding is there. And let me just hover here, and you can see, never mind the customized part, but if you were looking at this front page on another browser that we're not logged into the back end with, you would see the Cosmic Engineer - video tutorials. And there would be that, instead of the little world, I would put my my own little site icon, or it's also known as a favicon. And then that's what you would see. So this is important if you as far as what the site title is and the tagline, this you can see that they're right there. So it's up to you. I have had clients who put their phone number up there if that's their business's service, and it's just easier for people like, how do I get hold of them? Well, it's right there. So you can do really a lot with this if you want. I mean, obviously you don't want to write like a big book. I don't even know how many characters you get in here, but it's eye-catching to see what the information is here. So we will be putting that in, not right now, but this is the menu section, and the menu is obviously, generally it's that part on a desktop. It sits along, in general, everybody has their own way. Some people, even on a desktop, they'll put the hamburger menu, the 3 lines menu that you see on a mobile. And then you just go there. But traditionally, so of course, if you don't feel like being traditional, then you can do how you want. So I'm fairly traditional just because I have a lot of Virgo, if you know anything about that. So that's me being me. Anyway, so you would just see that would be like home, about me, shop, blog, services, whatever it is that you want here. And it will also allow you to put in your social links. So if you have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that kind of thing, they'll all line up along here. Okay, and then, so widgets are, I don't even know how you can really describe a widget, but it'll be something that you can drag and drop. That's like here, for example, what they've done here, these are widgets. So it's a search widget, all the recent posts, comments, however it is that you want. It depends on what your website is going to show. Like, what is your vision of your website? Because some people are going to put this kind of stuff as a sidebar. And some people will put it in the footer, some people won't put anything there. So you don't need to use these, but there are options to add different pieces to other sections of the site. Okay, here's where you tell how you want the website to kind of pull up stuff, pull up the pages. WordPress was originally built, and that's why it's called WordPress. It's originally was built as a blogging platform. And so it will probably always show that, is it going to be your latest post that you're seeing when you sign into, cosmicengineer.ca? Is it going to just show my latest post? Or is it going to show me, show the world a static page? That's what I always use. I don't think I've actually ever had a client that uses latest posts. So you would set this, and we don't have the pages here. I can add a new page here, but I want to show that from the dashboard. So you'll set that up. Basically, I always say homepage, I call it home, and then I make a blog page because a lot of my clients like to blog periodically. And you set that, and then that's going to make sure that the home page is what pops up when somebody types in this address, cosmicengineer.ca. And every time you make a change to all of this, you just keep hitting publish. So I'll just hit publish right now. Then we get into some options. So here's where these guys are like beyond amazing with the options they give you. Some of these free ones absolutely hardly show any options. So here you can go in and do stuff like primary color, a hover color, a main border color. So you can really, really customize the look, the color that you want. Do you want, pink and purple? Do you want blue and green? Some oranges and browns. You can, blacks and whatever. You can do that background color so that every page can be set to be, maybe you don't want it white, maybe you want it slightly a blush pink or a slight blush blue, like a gray blue, whatever. Or you could even do an image. You could have every page have an image on the back of it. The nice thing too about what we're doing is providing between Elementor and between this Ocean WP theme, you're getting a lot of opportunity to make the site look a certain way, but then you can individually change pages as well. So just because you set something here, that doesn't mean you can't adjust it. And then these are link colors. So here's an example. This, because they're saying that if it's black, that means that there is a link that you can click and go somewhere else. And if it hovers, that changes, so that you've told the person who's looking at your site, oh, this is a link, so you can change that. I've had people who've done green themes, and so I've worked with the different shades of green that are sort of complementary with the one color that they love, for example. And then you have that theme, and sometimes it's lightened a little bit. Some of them you hover and it's sort of a light color, and it's really dark, vice versa. So there's a lot of individual flair you can put into these things, and I really like that. We've got general settings. I tend to do wide all the time, but you can do box, you can change these. I've not really ever changed any of these. What I often do is take out the sidebar, because I've not lately. It used to be a few years ago, the sidebar was something that my clients tended to want, and I don't know how we've managed this, but I've tended to get away from it completely. But if you do put in the sidebars, of course, that's where these widgets will be able to be used for your website. So I tend to do full width, and they are all very good at showing options for different. When you're doing a site, you want to make sure you're getting the mobile option on top of the desktop option. And it is so, I don't know how many times I open up a site, and then if I check it on my phone, it's like I can't even read it. The font is wrong. It's just all squished in. It's like they just squeezed it down instead of readjusting it. So what we're doing here is, between this theme and the Elementor page builder, you are going to be able to absolutely make the web version of your website look phenomenal, and it really fits. And I find by doing see if you can see down here, they always seem to give you a desktop, a tablet, and a mobile. What I've found is most tablets, haven't really looked too hard at a smaller iPad, but when I've got an iPad or even my Samsung Tab, they pretty much scale really well, all the websites. But a tiny or tiny tablet will maybe have a few issues, but I think it's a lot less common. So I don't actually have never adjusted a site to this. So, but at least if somebody says, I can't see it, you could go in and adjust it. And what it does is it creates almost like it creates separate, I want to say separate websites, sort of like with their own configuration. It's putting code in it, and it's basically saying if you're opening this site with a screen size of XYZ times XY, it's going to show these particular dimensions and stuff like that. So, and it helps to scale things down. So this is another reason I think this is the best combination, because it really is a very professional outcome. I've never used, oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, I've never actually used these, but you totally can. I use the social links button. So I don't really scroll to top. I never use that, but you can, because it'll put this arrow. I don't think I've ever used this pagination. Unless we do forms, we don't need to worry about this. The theme buttons is letting you put in the information. So, a button is going to have a certain look. sort of, I know when you get into certain other ways of adding a button, they might give you even more options. But if you didn't have, like I know Elementor lets you do a lot more with their buttons, but if you were to add a button that was kind of standard, this is the coloring that it will show. So you could change that. So let's say the background color is your main color, and then a different kind of color when you hover. And you can also make the it should be the text of it. I don't know why they didn't say text, but generally that's what it is. You get an option to add the text color. So that again is very customized. I don't ever really use this, but you can play around with how you want that to look. And the 404 error page is just if somebody types in the wrong, like if they're wanting to type in cosmicengineer.ca/shop, but they added 2 P's or something, and it would come to the 404 saying, sorry, you got the wrong information. But that page should show the logo at least. And in that case, the person can always click the logo and back to the home page, because all of these are set up nowadays where the logo, if whether it's a picture of the words, it's going to click you right back to the home. So there's a lot of use of, if you can see here, of the icon. So these are different kinds of icons. There's quite a few now that you can do. So if you wanted to say, if you're on a contact page, you want to say, call me, email me, there's an icon you can use with like a phone, and then a little envelope for an email, for example. So you can select the colors that you want. See how it's got so many customizations. I've never used this because, again, as I mentioned in my other video, I'm not really SEO literate. I understand it to a very basic. I've never touched these. Everything I've ever done, all the servers I've ever used have had no issue with performance, so I never had to back off. These will just back off some of the features to make the site run a little faster, but okay, so that's just in there. Now we get to go in here and we can adjust lots of stuff here regarding the font, pretty much. I would never disable Google Fonts. And here you're saying this is the font family. So this allows you to manipulate how the different things like headings, and there's different in headings, there's like an H1, which is like the biggest heading, and it goes down to H4, and they're a little bit smaller each one, but it allows you to change a font for each, change whether they're bold or not, the size of them. It's great. So this lets you anything in here. These are all the fonts you could use. So you want to think through how, and you can play around with it, right, to see which ones you like. You can also go into Google Fonts and look at, I do this all the time, like if I want something that's kind of maybe a handwriting kind of font or a display font, you can put those options in, and then you type in the words that you're wanting. Like if I wanted to say Cosmic Engineer in there, and then I changed to different kinds of fonts, it would show me what it would look like. And I found so many different fonts by doing that. So it's a really great option. Oh, you can also change the color. And that's in the body. So that would be any of the writing, but you can also change each individual one. It's just, I'm not going to go through all of those right now, but this is just amazing how you can change so many things. Breadcrumbs are here. If you can see all the little bits, for example, like this is a post they're showing. So it's showing like the author, the time it was posted, what is the category, and if there are any comments, and then here's the body. So, I mean, there's so many things here you can change the post title, all the fonts, and the sizes of the fonts. It's great. So That's typography. Then we go top bar. I mean, that's where you can put in an announcement. So you can, have a different color up there. You can take it off. You can make it be the full width or not, change the coloring on it. And you can say that it would be like the announcement here maybe, and then social menu if you wanted to do that. I tend to put the social menu right by the regular menu. Okay. And oh yeah, you can take that off. You can just unclick that and publish it, and then it will not be there. Header, this is where I will put in a logo. You can just leave the name. I tend to always put a logo file in there, like an image. And here's where you can go to the social. You would enable that, and then you would put in all of the options. So your Twitter, your Facebook, Pinterest, all that kind of stuff, YouTube, Instagram, I think, Vimeo. You can put an email in there. And then you can pick how you want. This is even more customization. I don't think we'll get into that right now, but this lets you show the different options. As far as the style of it, you can drag make it a bigger font so that it actually makes that little icon that shows up bigger. This lets you, usually it's another window. If you click like the Facebook icon, it'll take you open another window. Here's all the coloring options. So I think that's, again, super great. And this lets you play around with the mobile menu because you might want different colors. Sometimes colors look better on a desktop, right? And not necessarily that good. They might want to be a little bit more bold. I find especially in menus on the mobile version. So what else do we have here? This is how you can decide how you want your blog to look like. A lot of times blogs will have sidebars and nothing else in the website does. So you can do that, tell how big your images are. And this also lets you mess around with what is here, right? So if you don't want to show the author, then you take that away. So now you can see that Indiana is gone. And that's it for the entries. And then a single post, you can play around with that as well. So generally speaking, the blog page has its own layout, and you can set it up to look like, single entries that go all the way down, or you can do them in like just square pictures, and you can show 6 or 7 on the page or something like that, and then they click a picture of whatever they're interested in, for example, to read, then it will open up the actual page. So you can style that actual page separately from the main blog post page. Sidebar, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with the sidebar. I'm not going to go into that. So footer, you have a footer widget option. See how that's going to shift the bottom. Now it's not so much black. So it's another section, and you can make that different in coloring and style to the actual footer. And then we have the footer bottom. So here's where you can take off. I mean, a lot of people won't let you take off their theme information with a free version, but this one does. So you can put in like your name. So I can put in the Cosmic Engineer at like copyright 2021. So that and every year by putting in this code, the date, it's going to go with the year. I've seen many times where the year never changes. So it can still show like 2019 and it's 2021. So by putting this code here, it's letting every year it will flip over. And you can change everything like the color. So It's again up to you style wise. You can make the header or background be a certain color and this be a complementary color. They can be exactly the same. You know, the links can be changed, the colors, the text, that kind of stuff. I obviously made a change. I need to save. Okay, so custom CSS probably is something you don't need to worry about because it's just putting in some extra code. And this is one of the reasons I absolutely love this particular theme, is that it's extremely rare that I've ever had to do any code adjustments in here. So because he has covered so many things that I can almost do everything. There's very, very little bit I've ever had to do in here. So that's it for this particular window. Okay, so pages is where you're going to put, so the difference between a page and a post, a page is going to be like your home page, your about me page, list of services, a shop page, that kind of thing, contact page. So you would just go in and create what you want it to have on it, etc. And then the post is, so also just go back, page, you will also have a blog page. And so the page that is the blog page would be, it can have its own styling, as I mentioned. And then in post, every post that you do is also able to be customized from a style perspective. And this is where you get to see the categories. So there's a lot of options that'll be available for you to say if you wanted to do a blog and you want to talk about different ideas, right? Like if you were a chef and you wanted, or, you know, to talk about different kinds of recipes, you could have them divided up, you know, vegan, keto, that kind of thing. And this is where you would put in the categories. And when you're building your pages, then you can say, I want to show posts that have the category keto. So, you know, you can put a page up, say, called keto recipes, and then the only recipes that are going to fall into that page when they click the link is going to be ones that are keto. So that's what the categories are. So that's quite a handy thing. Tags are similar to tags that you find like around Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing. I'm not sure, honestly, I mean, I don't know the connection so deeply with anything SEO, but there probably is a relation. And I'm not 100% sure how much a tag would be captured just from doing an internet search if you don't have really, really good SEO. But again, as I mentioned, that's not my thing. So I just show you that that's something you can put in there. Definitely when you're in the site and searching, the tags can be a great thing, because if your website is like, you've been building it for a long time and it's full of all kinds of, you know, blog posts or recipes or stuff like that, somebody wants to look for something, you could just type in keto and it would show you everything, for example, that has to do, whether they're recipes or blogs or whatever, it would show you those based on the tags. So I'm going to stop this one for now because I think it's probably running long enough to just, I don't want to make everything like huge so that people get overwhelmed. And I will put together something else in another video. So thanks very much for listening and